The RES sigh with a scream came from the tracks. It sliced through the crisp morning air like a siren, sharp, panicked, and human. Tariq yanked out his earbuds mid-jog, heart suddenly thrashing in his chest. He was on the overpass above the station, just finishing his run before his shift at the cafe. He looked down, expecting maybe a fight, or someone chasing a train. But what he saw stopped him cold. An old man, pale, disoriented, possibly homeless, was stumbling directly across the train tracks below. One leg dragged behind him like it had forgotten how to work. The man's arms flailed slightly as if he were trying to catch something invisible, or maybe himself. But worse, much worse, a train was coming. It wasn't some distant either. The engine was already in sight, curving fast around the bend with a steel howl of momentum. The old man didn't react. He kept stumbling forward like he couldn't hear, couldn't see, or didn't care. Tariq reacted on instinct. He didn't stop to think, didn't pause to assess the risk or call for help. He vaulted over the overpass railing, ignoring the concrete burn that scraped his hand, and dropped hard into the gravel beside the tracks below. Pain shot up his ankle, but he pushed through it. "Hey, move," he screamed as he sprinted, the ground shaking beneath his feet. "Get off the tracks." Still, the old man didn't flinch. It was like he wasn't even really there, like he was sleepwalking through a nightmare. The horn blared. Tariq reached him just in time. He slammed into the man's side with full force, tackling him out of the way like a linebacker. Both of them tumbling into the gravel as the train roared past. It felt like the earth had cracked open. Wind and dust exploded in his face. The sound was deafening. His ears rang for several seconds after it passed. Then, silence. Tariq rolled off the man, chest heaving, arms shaking. He could smell metal, and sweat, and dirt, and somewhere in the distance, the whine of a siren approaching. The old man blinked slowly, alive but weak. His lips moved faintly. Tariq leaned in closer. What are you saying?" The man clutched something to his chest, a small, battered leather notebook. His voice was little more than a whisper. "You weren't supposed to be there, ... yet." "What does that mean?" Tariq asked, startled. The old man just closed his eyes. Hours passed at the hospital. Tariq sat in the waiting area with an ice pack on his ankle and 1,000 thoughts swirling through his head. He wasn't a hero. He didn't think of himself that way. But he couldn't have stood by and done nothing. Still, something about the man's face, his cryptic words, "You weren't supposed to be there yet," it gnawed at him. Who was he? Why had he been on the tracks like that? A nurse finally approached. "He's conscious now," she said. "Asked to see you." Tariq raised an eyebrow. "Me," he said, and I quote, "send in the boy with the scar on his left hand, the one who pulled me back." Tariq blinked. He looked down at his left hand at the faded crescent-shaped burn mark near his thumb, barely noticeable unless you were looking closely. How did he know about that? He muttered. The nurse just smiled. "You'll have to ask him." Inside the room, the old man looked different now. His skin was pale but calmer. His hands rested neatly on the blanket, and when he turned his head, his eyes locked on Tariq. With unsettling focus, "You saved my life," the old man said. "You were about to die," Tariq replied. "You didn't even try to move." "I know," he whispered. "It was on purpose." Tariq's spine stiffened. "What?" The man reached slowly toward the side drawer and pulled out the same notebook he'd been holding earlier. It looked ancient, the leather cracked, pages yellowing. He handed it to Tariq. "That's for you." Tariq hesitated, then opened the front cover. Inside was a faded photo, a young black boy holding hands with a woman outside a dusty storefront. The image looked like it was taken decades ago. There was red ink circling the woman's face. Next to it was a note scribbled in harsh, shaky handwriting. "Find her before they do. She knows the truth." Tariq's breath caught the woman. She looked familiar. "That woman," the old man rasped, "is your mother." "What?" Tariq said. "No. My mom died in a car crash when I was 6. I remember the funeral. I saw the pictures." The man's eyes softened with sorrow. "That's what they wanted you to believe. But your mother didn't die. She vanished." "Why?" Tariq asked, his voice cracking. "Why would someone lie about that?" The man closed his eyes again. "Because she uncovered something they didn't want out. And now they'll come for you too." Before Tariq could speak again, alarms sounded. The old man gasped, clutching his chest. "Nurse!" Tariq shouted. "Somebody!" The room filled with rushing feet, medical staff shouting. Tariq was ushered out. 30 minutes later, a nurse returned, face drawn. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "He didn't make it." Tariq just stood there, numb. He looked down at the notebook, still clutched. In his hand, on the last page, were just 3 words, barely legible. "They're watching you." The unnoted bureaucrator couldn't sleep. The notebook lay beside him on his mattress like it was glowing, like it pulsed with something alive. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw the old man's face, hollowed, pale, but purposeful. He hadn't just stumbled onto those tracks. He'd meant to die, and he had waited somehow for him. You weren't supposed to be there. Yet, Tariq sat up, flipping the notebook open again, flashlight in hand. The first photo stared back at him. The woman in the faded picture looked young, maybe mid-20s, wearing a checkered dress and holding a boy's hand. The boy was smiling at the camera, but her eyes were turned sideways, watching something off frame, like she didn't want to be seen. The caption still haunted him. "Find her before they do. She knows the truth." Tariq traced the woman's face with his finger. His chest tightened. She looked like him, not just a little. The shape of her eyes, her lips, even the mole on her cheek, the same spot as his. Could this really be his mother? Had she somehow survived, or never died at all? He turned the page. Inside were notes, some in neat handwriting, others barely readable, scrawled like a man in panic. Most were dated years ago, some more recent. There were names, phone numbers, and places. Most were scratched out in red ink with notes like, "Too late, vanished, wrong lead, he's gone, do not trust Franklin." One note jumped out at him. "If you're reading this, they'll come for you too. Be ready. Start with the woman in Portland. She knew your mother." Tariq grabbed his phone and searched the number written beside the note. The digits were shaky, but legible. 503-544-1926, Portland, Oregon. Far from where he lived in Oakland. He hesitated. His hands trembled as he dialed. It rang twice. Then again, and just when he thought it would go to voicemail, someone answered. "Hello." It was a woman's voice, older, cautious. "Hi, my name is Tariq. I know this sounds crazy, but I found your number in a notebook. It belonged to a man who passed away yesterday. He saved this note for me, said you knew my mother." Silence. Then, a sharp inhale. "Who told you to call this number?" Tariq swallowed. "An old man on the train tracks. He gave me the notebook. I saved his life, but he didn't make it." More silence. Then the woman whispered, "Oh my God, you're her son. You knew her." Tariq's voice cracked. "Yes, I knew Amina." Tariq's heart skipped. That was her name. "She called herself that when we met." "Yes," the woman said. "I don't know if it was her real name. She was hiding." Tariq stared at the notebook in disbelief. Why was she hiding? Why would she leave me? The woman didn't answer right away. Then, "Where are you right now?" "Oakland." A pause. "Don't say more." "Not on the phone. It's not safe." "What do you mean not safe? They monitor these calls. If you really want answers, you'll have to come in person." Tariq hesitated. "Why should I trust you?" "You shouldn't," she replied. "But if you don't come, you'll never know why they lied about your mother's death, and you'll never understand what they've been doing, or why he gave you that notebook." The line clicked. She'd hung up. Tariq lowered the phone slowly. His heart was pounding now, not from fear, but from a strange, buried heat rising from his chest. All his life, his mother had been a ghost. Now, she was suddenly alive in the pages of a dying man's notebook, and someone out there was still watching. The next morning, he packed a small duffel bag, 2 shirts, 1 hoodie, charger, wallet, water bottle. He told his boss at the cafe he needed a few days off for a family emergency. It wasn't a lie anymore. On the way to the bus station, he noticed a black SUV trailing him for 2 blocks. When he stopped, it stopped. When he turned, it turned. He dipped into an alley and ran through a backlot to lose them. His heart was thudding, his ankles still sore from the rescue, but adrenaline numbed it. By the time he boarded the Greyhound to Portland, he was sweating through his hoodie and glancing at every shadow. He gripped the notebook like it was life itself. As the bus pulled out of the station, a message pinged on his phone. Unknown number. You shouldn't have opened it. Turn back while you still can. Tariq's mouth went dry, but he didn't reply. He didn't look back. He stared out the window and whispered to himself, "I need to know." The woman in Part Lendi. Tariq stepped off the Greyhound into thick Portland. Rain. The clouds overhead pressed low and grey. It smelled like wet concrete, exhaust, and a trace of pine in the wind. His hoodie clung to him, damp, as he tightened his grip on the duffel bag and looked around the terminal. 100 faces passed. Him, tired travelers, kids with headphones, women with strollers, but none looked like the voice on the phone. Then he saw her, a woman in her late 60s, short, silver hair, dark overcoat, eyes behind thick glasses. She wasn't holding a sign or waving. She just stood still under a black umbrella, staring at him, watching. He hesitated. She nodded once, then turned and walked away. Tariq followed. They walked silently for 2 blocks through the drizzle, then ducked into a quiet coffee shop with fogged windows. She led him to a corner booth in the back, far from the counter. Only then did she speak. "You're taller than I expected." Tariq offered a nervous half-smile. "You're exactly as I imagined." Mysterious and kind of terrifying. That earned the faintest grin. "I'm Lena," she said. "I met your mother 23 years ago." Tariq's voice was tight. "Her name was Amina." Lena nodded. "To me, yes. She had many names, depending on who she was hiding from. But her spirit never changed. Strong, unshakable, always watching for the people she loved. She left me," he said bitterly. "She didn't love me enough to stay." Lena's expression shifted, not to pity, but sorrow. "She didn't leave because she wanted to. She left because she was trying to protect you." Tariq leaned forward. "Protect me from what?" Lena opened her purse and pulled out a thin folder, wrapped in a plastic sleeve. She slid it across the table. Inside were photographs, black and white surveillance images. One showed a younger version of the woman from The Notebook, his mother, standing near a government building. Another showed her at a payphone, looking over her shoulder. There were also documents, declassified reports, redacted pages. "She was a whistleblower," Lena said. "She worked in a private research facility, contracted by a government intelligence agency. We believe she uncovered experiments involving memory manipulation and identity suppression. But before she could go public, she vanished." Tariq stared at the folder. "What kind of experiments?" "They were trying to wipe people clean," Lena said softly. "Erase memories, change lives, turn witnesses into obedient ghosts." Tariq's blood ran cold. "You're saying they could erase someone's whole identity?" Lena nodded. "They could plant new memories, make a mother forget her own child, make you think your mother died when she was still alive." Tariq sat back, shaken. "So she didn't abandon me?" "No," Lena said. "She tried to come back for you. I was with her the night she made contact with someone inside the program, but she never made it home. We found traces of her car near a forest road, burned, but no body, no sign of her. Just silence." Tariq opened the notebook again. "This was left for me. Why now? Why that old man?" Lena took a long breath. "His name was Patrick Cole. He used to work inside the program, security detail. He found your mother in a holding facility once, helped her escape, but she disappeared. Before he could do more, he spent the next 20 years tracking their movements, collecting names, hiding in plain sight, and now he's dead. He told me I wasn't supposed to be there yet." Tariq whispered. "It was like he knew me before I ever met him." Lena nodded. "Patrick said once that he'd know the boy when he saw the scar on his hand. He said it would be the sign." Tariq stared at his hand. That old childhood scar from a kettle burn when he was 5. His foster parents said it was just an accident. No one thought anything of it, but now it felt like a marker, like someone had left it there on purpose. Lena leaned forward. "I need you to understand something, Tariq. Once you know the truth, they won't stop watching you. They may already be following you. Your phone, your messages, they'll try to erase what you've seen." He pulled out his phone, thought the last text was still there. "Unknown number. You shouldn't have opened it. Turn back while you still can." He turned the screen to her. Lena's face went pale. "That number, it belongs to someone inside the Phoenix division." "The what?" "The organization your mother tried to expose. They specialize in covert resets, wiping out people who get too close. If they've contacted you, it means you've already stepped too far in." Tariq felt the room spinning. "What do I do?" She looked him dead in the eye. "You run, you hide, you plan, and when you're ready, you expose them." A long silence fell. Then she handed him a small flash drive. "Inside this is the last recorded audio we have of your mother. It was captured from a wiretap hours before she vanished." Tariq took it like it was made of glass. What does it say? Lena stood up. You'll have to listen yourself. But be warned, once you do, there's no going back. She glanced at the window. Rain still fell, but slower now. Softer. Get somewhere safe, she said. And whatever you do, don't trust anyone who asks about the notebook. Then she slipped out the door without another word. Tariq sat there, frozen, flash drive in one hand, notebook in the other. He didn't know who to trust, or what the truth really was, but he was going to find out, no matter the cost. The RSEORDN sat in a cheap motel room just outside Portland. The air smelled like old cigarettes and lemon cleaner. A single bulb flickered above the desk as he pulled out the flash drive. Lena had given him. His heart thudded like a drum in his chest. He had no idea what he was about to hear, but he knew it could change everything. He plugged it into his laptop. The folder held only one file, Amina_lastcall.mp3. His fingers hovered over the touchpad. Then he pressed play. For a moment, there was only static. Then came the sound of a woman breathing, short, hurried. Then her voice. If anyone finds this, my name is Amina Cole. I don't know how long I have. They're watching every move. I don't know who to trust anymore. Tariq leaned closer, his stomach tightening. They tried to make me forget, she continued, her voice trembling. But I fought it. I remembered your face, baby. I remembered the scar on your little hand, the sound of your laugh. I remembered your name, Tariq. Tariq's breath caught in his throat. He didn't even realize he was crying until a tear splashed onto the keyboard. They told me you died, that you were never real. But I knew. I wrote it all down. Every name, every location, every lie. Patrick helped me escape once. I don't know if I'll get another chance. So if he finds you, if this message ever reaches you, please, Tariq, don't stop. Don't let them erase me. Don't let them erase the truth. The audio cut out suddenly. No goodbye, no warning, just dead silence. Tariq sat still for a long time, then he clicked play again. He listened to the entire thing a second time. Then a third dot. By the fourth time, his hands had stopped shaking. His eyes were dry, and his jaw was set. His mother hadn't left him. She had fought for him. She had survived things he couldn't even imagine. And now, he had a mission. He barely slept that night. The next morning he went back through the notebook, combing over every page. One section, a list of names, caught his eye. Next to each name, there were notes like, confirmed, wiped, located, disappeared again, still active, trust level, high. Only one name wasn't crossed out or labeled. Franklin R. Nash. No location, no notes, just the name. He pulled out his laptop and started digging. The first few searches came up empty. But then he found something, a reference in an old employee directory from a company called Nexaware Solutions, a cybersecurity firm based just outside Seattle. He clicked deeper. Nexaware had been quietly bought out 5 years ago by a shell company registered in Virginia, with ties to defense contractors. Tariq didn't need a conspiracy theory blog to connect the dots. Franklin Nash was involved with the people who tried to erase his mother. Maybe he was still alive. Maybe he had answers. It was a risk, but sitting still wasn't an option anymore. He booked a bus to Seattle. It was dusk when Tariq arrived. The Nexaware building stood like a block of glass and steel in a quiet business park, surrounded by cameras and trimmed hedges. It looked normal, corporate, clean, but every window felt like an eye watching him. He didn't walk through the front doors. Instead, he waited nearby until most employees had left. Around 7:40 p.m., he spotted a man, mid-60s, white beard, walking with a limp, exiting a side door. He matched the picture Tariq had found in a decade-old newsletter. Franklin Nash. Tariq followed at a distance as Nash walked to his car. At the last second, he stepped out from the shadows. Mr. Nash. The man paused, startled. Who's asking? My name's Tariq, he said. I think you knew my mother. Amina. Franklin's face drained of color. He looked around nervously. Not here. Get in. Tariq hesitated, then slipped into the passenger seat of Nash's black Prius. They drove in silence for several blocks, ending in a quiet neighborhood, parking beside a dull brick apartment building. Inside Nash's unit, the blinds were already shut. He moved like a man used to being watched, every step calculated. How did you find me? He asked finally. Notebook, Tariq said, pulling it out. Left by Patrick Cole, before he died. Nash rubbed his forehead. That fool, he kept That damn notebook for too long. I told him it would get him killed. Did you know my mother? Nash looked up. I recruited her. What? She was working at a front company, Nash explained. Didn't know what was really happening until it was too late. Once she started asking questions, they flagged her. They moved to erase her, just like they've done with hundreds before. But she survived, Tariq said. She remembered for a while, but she was clever, left traces for herself. Notes, clues, kept rewriting the truth back into her own mind. Tariq opened the notebook again. She said they'd come after me. That they'd try to erase me too. Nash's voice turned cold. They will. You're a liability now. So how do I stop them? Nash hesitated. Then he stood, walked to a small safe hidden behind a painting, and pulled out a thin folder. This is the last copy of the original protocol they used on your mother, Project Regenesis. It outlines every phase of the memory wipe process. Names of operatives, facilities. They've tried to destroy every copy, but this one survived. He handed it to Tariq. You release this to the right people, journalists, whistleblower groups, and the whole operation collapses. Tariq took it, stunned. Why haven't you done it? Because I've been hunted for years, Nash said. I'm a ghost now. But you, they don't know how much you know. Not yet. You have one shot to expose them. Tariq clutched the folder and the notebook. My mother risked everything for this, he said. I'm not running anymore. Nash gave a slow nod. Then, be careful. They kill in silence. And if they catch you, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The BTRAL Tariq didn't. Sleep that night. The folder Nash had handed him was locked in his backpack, zipped inside a hidden pocket beneath the lining. But even knowing it was safe didn't help. He could feel it pressing against his spine like a bomb. He spent hours reading through the pages. Project reports, transcripts, internal memos, code names, maps, faces, victims, scientists, targets, and, in one section, a list of test subjects with altered identities. He found a familiar name, Amina Cole. Status unrecovered. Priority level, red dot next to her photo. Someone had scrawled in red ink, erased 3x. Subject retains memory fragments. Dangerous. Terminate, if located. Tariq clenched his jaw so tight it hurt. They didn't just try to silence her. They tried to erase her again and again, like she was a file that kept corrupting, like she refused to disappear. He didn't know whether to feel proud or sick. Probably both. The next day, Nash arranged for Tariq to meet someone, a journalist with connections in whistleblower circles. Her name's Marla Wynne. Nash said, she's not like the big-time reporters. She doesn't have sponsors or editors to answer to, but she's smart, brave, and she won't back down. Tariq nodded. How do I find her? She's already looking for you, he replied with a small smirk. I sent her a burner message last night, told her to come armed with questions. They met at a bookstore cafe just outside downtown Seattle, the kind of quiet, cozy place where nobody looked twice at two people talking over coffee. Marla Wynne looked about 40, with short auburn hair, sharp eyes, and a battered leather laptop, bag slung over one shoulder. She scanned Tariq quickly, then sat across from him like she was used to interviewing fugitives. I don't need a backstory, she said softly. Just facts. Show me what you have. Tariq opened the folder and slid over a few of the most damning pages. A memo approving psychological resets on civilian contractors, a list of children labeled as collateral outcomes, and a map showing a decommissioned facility in Idaho that was still active on satellite scans. Marla didn't blink. Her eyes swept the pages like a hawk. Then she closed the folder gently. If this is real, she said, you could bring down a whole chain of hidden agencies. Names I've chased for years without a single confirmation. This could explode. That's the plan, Tariq said. I don't want to hide anymore. She paused. Why now? He swallowed hard. Because my mum died trying to stop this. And now they've started watching me. Marla nodded. We'll have to move fast. Once I start making calls, the wrong people will notice. She handed him a clean business card. On the back, she scribbled, Wednesday, 9 a.m., Studio 12, no electronics. Then she was gone. Tariq stared at the card for a long time before tucking it deep into his pocket. That night, he returned to Nash's apartment. The door was open. At first he thought maybe Nash had just stepped out, maybe forgot to lock up, but the silence inside was wrong. Still, too still. He stepped inside slowly. Nash, no answer. He moved into the kitchen. The floor creaked beneath his feet. And then he saw it. A broken coffee cup on the floor, blood smeared across the linoleum, like someone had been dragged. His heart plummeted. He rushed down the hall. The bathroom door was ajar. The bedroom looked ransacked. Closet doors open. Papers scattered. And then in the corner, a crumpled body. Franklin Nash, a single bullet wound to the chest. His eyes were still open, frozen in pain and fear. Tariq stumbled backward, hand over his mouth. They'd found him. The people his mother warned about. The ones who wanted everything buried. He should have known. He should have stayed. But before panic could fully set in, he noticed something. Nash's hand curled into a fist. Tariq knelt beside him, trembling, and gently pried it open. Inside was a small scrap of paper. It read, "She's not dead. Don't trust Marla." Tariq's blood turned to ice. His stomach flipped. Don't trust Marla. But she'd seemed so real, so serious, so determined to help. Could she have been working with them all along? Was the meeting a setup? Or worse, was she leading him to them? He grabbed the folder, the notebook, and ran. That night, he slept inside a metro tunnel entrance near the river, shivering beneath his hoodie, hidden from the street. He didn't check his phone, didn't use his laptop. He couldn't risk being traced. He replayed every moment with Marla, every glance, every word. She'd never asked who gave him the files, never questioned the source. She just wanted the documents. That was too clean, too quick. He clutched his bag close and whispered into the dark, "She's not dead." Could it be true? Had his mother somehow survived? Was the story not over? Even now, he remembered the old man's dying words again. "You weren't supposed to be there yet." What if this was why? What if the old man had died to delay the program, to buy him time to reach this exact moment? Tariq didn't have answers, but now he had a direction. He was done being hunted. In the morning, he would go back to Portland, and he'd start again, not with a journalist or a secret agent, but with the last person who ever saw Amina alive. He would find her. Not the story, not the headline. His mother, the truth in her eyes. 2 days later, Tariq stood on the edge of a clearing deep in the Oregon woods. His clothes were soaked. His throat was dry. His legs ached from the long hike off-grid, but his hands still gripped the notebook and the folder like they were part of his body. He stared at the small wooden cabin up ahead, hidden beneath towering pine trees. It looked abandoned from a distance. The windows were boarded halfway. Smoke barely rose from the chimney, and moss crept along the roof, like time itself was trying to erase the place. But Lena had told him, long ago, about a safe house built for whistleblowers who had nowhere left to run. She hadn't been certain if Amina had ever made it there, but Nash's final message, "She's not dead," had pointed him back here. He walked slowly, every step echoing with memories that didn't belong to him. A woman's voice in a recording, a faded photo of her holding his hand. The taste of childhood grief turned into truth. As he reached the porch, he hesitated, then knocked. 1 beat, 2, 3. Silence. He was about to knock again when the door creaked, opened just a crack. A pair of brown eyes stared through the gap, sharp, watchful, familiar. "Who are you?" the voice asked, steady, strong, older than he remembered. Tariq's voice trembled. "My name is Tariq." Silence. He added, I think you're my mother." The door didn't open further, but the eyes widened slightly. "She didn't speak." He pulled the photo from the notebook and held it up. "This was us, before the fire, before everything. You held my hand in this picture. You wore a red scarf with tiny yellow flowers. I remember, because I always pulled it off to make you laugh." Still no reply. "So," he added, almost in a whisper, "they told me you were dead, for 20 years. Finally, the door opened fully. She stepped out into the light. Her hair was streaked with silver now. Her face was thinner, but her eyes, they hadn't changed, and neither had the small mole on her cheek, the same one he had. Her hands trembled as she reached out and touched his face, lightly, as if making sure he was real. "Tariq," she whispered, "my baby." That was all it took. He dropped the bag, threw his arms around her, and for the first time in 2 decades, a mother held her son like time had folded in on itself. They stayed like that for minutes, unmoving, wrapped in silence and sobs and something that couldn't be spoken, only felt, inside. The cabin was modest, warm, lit by lanterns and a small fireplace, A kettle whistled gently. Amina made tea like it was second nature, like she hadn't spent half a lifetime running from ghosts. They sat at a wooden table across from each other. Tariq set the notebook between them. "I found him," he said. "Patrick, he gave me this before he died. He said it wasn't an accident." She nodded, slowly. "It wasn't. He spent years keeping tabs on you, making sure they didn't get to you. I told him, if anything happened to me, to wait for the right moment." "Why now?" Tariq asked. "Why? Let me find out now." She took a deep breath. "Because you're strong enough now, smart enough, careful. If we'd told you too early, they might have wiped your memory before you understood what was happening. But now you're a threat to them." Tariq looked at her closely. "How did you survive?" Amina's eyes dimmed with memory. "They wiped me 3 times. Each time I fought it. I wrote notes to myself, hid truths in my dreams. I'd wake up in strange places, not knowing who I was, but always with a feeling that something wasn't right. Eventually, I broke free during a transport. Patrick helped me disappear." She sipped her tea and smiled bitterly. "After that, I stopped being Amina. I stopped being anyone but you remembered me. Always," she whispered. "They tried to bury you in my mind, but love doesn't vanish that easily." Tariq pulled out the folder. "These documents, they're enough to blow everything wide open. People will know." Amina nodded. "But it's not just about revenge, Tariq. It's about healing and warning others before this ever happens again. I want the world to know what they did to you," he said, "to everyone." She reached across the table and took his hand. "I don't want to hide anymore. I'm tired. If you're ready to fight, I'll stand beside you." Tariq felt a tear fall. But this time, it wasn't grief. It was peace. 3 months later, the story made national headlines. Exposed. Secret mind erasure program uncovered by survivor and son. Mother lost for 20 years found alive. Her testimony shocks the nation with Lena's help. Tariq and Amina released the documents to international watchdog groups. Marla Wynne, exposed as a disinformation agent, vanished shortly after. The Phoenix division was dismantled within weeks. Arrests were made. Victims were found. Whistleblowers came forward. But for Tariq and Amina, the real victory wasn't the headlines. It was every quiet morning they spent together, every old memory they rebuilt, every meal they cooked side by side, and every time she said his name, not like a dream, but like it was finally real. The end.